Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by 3 and Barstool Sports. I am your host, Robbie Fox. With me is my co-host, my daimyo, Clem. We are here to talk about Chapter 3 of the Book of Boba Fett. This one is called The Streets of Mos Espa. Mos Espa? Mos Espa? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Clem, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I thought so. It was the Streets of Mos Espa was the name of the episode, which I will get into. It kind of has like the streets of New York kind of vibe to it, right? And I think that's going to be the thing everyone remembers this episode for. The Book of Boba Fett, just all this Disney Plus content in general, the nerd content as we're growing our channel. I feel like we're relying more and more on if the shows and the movies are good, we're good because everyone wants to like read, recap, all that kind of stuff. I have to say, this was the first episode. I was like, like it kind of was kind of a weird episode. We'll just leave it at that. We're gonna break it all down, but pretty all things considered, another single into right field in my
I
opinion.
agree. This was a single of an episode. It was shorter, staying up till 3 in the morning, and then opening up Disney Plus to see like 38 minutes, 37 minutes, or whatever. I was like, damn, I wanted the hour that we got last week. And last week was my favorite episode of the series. And I think that length had a lot to do with that. I think having that time to let everything breathe had a lot to do with it. But they did get a lot done in this episode. I remember like pausing it at one point to get up and go pee or something. And I had like half the episode left, and I was like, okay, I thought I was much further into this. So they got a lot covered in this episode. It was a good episode, but it would definitely be third in my rankings of the three so far.
I think this episode, the first half of it, I like the first half, and I kind of there's like scenes of this episode or parts of this episode I liked more than almost any other part of the series so far. There was a lot of things I really liked here, but then there was just a lot of like down parts that kind of drags it all down. So all in all, I think it was a little uneven of an episode, but I mean, shit, it wasn't the sequel trilogy or the prequel trilogy, right?
All right, there's a lot to get into. Before we do, I want to remind everybody to hit that subscribe button. You could still send your emails to Clem. I went into the office on Monday. I'll be in the office today as well. And I'm starting to get this stuff together. We got like Mandalorian Monopoly. We got Darth Vader crazy live real action figures. What it's like a super one. We got Mandalorian action figures. We got Rise of Skywalker, like a exclusive Sith trooper. I think it's like the San Diego Comic-Con one. We got cool stuff. I'm going to put together cool prize packages for everyone that subscribes and sends an email to theclemreport@gmail.com. You'll be randomly entered. We're going to pick a couple winners, 3 winners, I think we said. And there's still time to do that. You got us up to 11,000 very quickly after 10,000. So I appreciate everyone doing that. Make sure you like the video as well. That helps us out. It helps put the YouTube videos up in the algorithm or whatever.
And hit those thumbs up so then it just kind of pops up, kind of bubbles. Help the basement boys out right now. We're trying to fucking, get
We're
some nerd
grinding.
culture here. We're grinding, man. We're doing, Robbie is doing shorts. Robbie did a 1 minute short on what we're about to talk about in the Book of Boba Fett. It took him an 8-hour workday to record, which is obviously the easy part, and then produce, edit, all that kind of shit, and get it uploaded.
And it
We are
got like
grinding.
45 loops on TikTok. It got like 45. I don't know how to crack the TikTok code, but listen, I'm not even concerned with that right now. Just concerned with YouTube. Help us grow the YouTube. We will help with giveaways, and we will, give back to the community with giveaways and all that kind of stuff.
I just thought of something we could do for like the next big, for like the 25,000 giveaway. We steal like Portnoy's R2D2 hat and we just give that to somebody.
Yeah, from the infamous Disney trip. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 3. You know I hated the way this episode began, when it began with that big Jabba's Palace spider that we've seen before. They made toys of this. I think it was in the Lego game as well. Every time I see this thing, I hate it. And I'm continuing with the Harry Potter movies as well, like I mentioned. I've only got one left, but even in the last one, went all the way to the end. I was like, oh, thank God there's no spiders in this one.
Let me
Spiders
tell you,
right up
Bob,
the ass.
I fucking hated it too. And this is why I hated it, because the way that my streaming TV works, sometimes I'll like start the whatever, we're watching, in this case, Book of Boba Fett, and I'll always click like to play it, and it'll go to the first episode of whatever that series is. So I'm just like, fuck, I did it again, you big idiot. So this one, I'm thinking it's the goddamn spider in the beginning of the series. So I was like, oh, the big lug did it again. And as I'm going, I see episode 3. I'm like, no, bullshit. It says episode 3. So my old, feeble, old man brain was like breaking. You're hiding under the blankets at 3 a.m. because the spider just appeared on your
I got
television
this
screen.
all like covering me up, you know.
Yeah, everyone on YouTube, they can see Bobby has his street Boba Fox over here has
Yep.
his Boba uniform on. So yeah, the spider definitely was fucking us up big time.
Gross. We've got 8D8 kind of giving Boba and Fennec a briefing. They've got the cool map. It looks like they're about to go on like a Battlefront mission or something. And they're like, all right, there's the 3 territories that are here in Tatooine, this area of Tatooine. There's the Trandoshans that run one. There's the Aqualish that run one. And then I guess this is ours. This is Jabba's that now became Boba Fett's. The Trandoshan mention, you got to think another mention of those, maybe a Bosk reference, maybe he's upcoming, maybe he's coming out soon. It makes sense why we saw so many of them in the town square last episode. And then we get Stephen Root. I need my stabler from The Office. His name is Lortha Peel. He comes in to speak to Boba and he says, listen, nobody respects you, Boba, and I am insulted on your behalf. He kept saying that, which I thought was a very funny line. And he said, there's a street gang that's stealing my inventory being water. They're half man, half machine. They've modified their bodies to be deadly. They really make them out to sound like, I don't know, the fucking Dark Troopers from Mandalorian
Yeah.
or something. I expected like the Terminator. It's not really what we got, but it was a cool intro, a funny start to this episode.
It was a tough look for my guy Boba, and I talked about this. I saw some people on Twitter hitting us up and whatever, because they were calling me out saying, "Listen, Clem, easy on all the Mando hate over here. Boba was basically known for just getting his ass kicked. You know, he caught Han, but he was just catching nothing but L's. Other than that, his entire time in Star Wars, which is fair. That is pre-Tusken Boba." New Boba, he is a fucking change man. He fucking puts up numbers that I don't think the Mandalorian can. However, Milton from Office Space is talking shit to you. I was like, Boba, what the fuck, man? I think Boba needs to wear the helmet from now on. Boba,
Yeah, maybe.
he doesn't need to be the Mando and just always have the helmet on. But when you're like greeting people, you're the head of a crime family, a daimyo, you have to rock that Boba helmet, man, because it just gives a completely different vibe. And I'm honestly, I've seen it all. When Milton from Office Space can't even keep his stapler on his desk, but he's going to talk shit to the Fett man right to his fucking eyeballs. I hated it. I hated it, Bob. It was like, it hurt me to my soul. The name as cool as Boba Fett has again been just like tarnished. Speaking of names, the gang names, like above my head. They're talking. It was like I said it on the Lights Camera Barstool stream. It was like Grand Theft Auto, where they're telling me all the different gang names. Like, just give me the color of the dots they are, and that's all I need to know. I don't need anything else. So what's the droid's name?
8D8.
8D8. I looked it up. He almost sounds like a. I don't. There's a few. Like that voice is very familiar. I looked up the actor. It's no one I know. He almost has a little bit of Bernie Mac in there, but there's like other voices in there. It's very weird. It really throws me off. But I loved how he mentioned Jabba the Hutt, but it was almost like an ex-boyfriend. He didn't know if he should say it.
Like, oh, he who shall not be named. He's like, you could say it. He's like, Jabba the Hutt, and then he accidentally insults him.
Yeah, then he insulted him again. So I do like how we are like humanizing Boba every single episode. So I dug that side of it.
I think you're right about the helmet, though. I don't think he talks the shit if he's wearing the helmet.
That's exactly it. It's a completely different dude, and it's like, hey, and listen, this is coming from someone with that much hair on his head. I shave by choice just because I don't like hair. It's like Boba has a luscious head of hair, like he did as like think about young Boba with that fucking those locks just flowing. If he's rocking that hair, there's a little bit more respect being put on his name. Either that hair or the helmet. He needs to do one or the other because it's just not working out, as we saw this episode. A lot of fucking, like, no respect on Boba's name this episode.
No, the opposite. Quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Disrespect put on his name. He confronts the street gang. We see the city at night, which I thought was cool. It was a different vibe. And I love the way he says his name. The way Tamora Morrison says Boba Fett. I am Boba Fett. Oh, every time I'm like, yeah, you are, motherfucker. And he's like, hey, what are you doing? And they kind of disrespect him. They slag him off. And he's like, it's a crime what you're doing. You know that. They're like, it's a crime what he's charging for this water. It's a month's wage for a week's worth of water or whatever. He says, why don't you go get a job then? You're in the workers district. And they say, there's no jobs out there. He's like, all right, you'll work for me then. This was a very like Western serial dynamic vibe with them. They look like they're from the 50s or something. American Graffiti was the thing that I referenced.
Yep.
I think that's probably where they took the inspiration from, a little tribute to George Lucas, where he got his inspirations from. They have Vespas that are like Star Wars Vespas, all different colored. I said it looked like something on the boardwalk at Jersey Shore, like one of those rides that just goes
Yes.
around and around. You all pick the different color you get on. I would always want the green one, run up to it. And people seem to really not like these guys, the street gang. They don't like the street gang. They don't like the Vespas. I don't really have an issue with them. I think when people said they look a little Spy Kids-ish, another
Yeah.
Robert Rodriguez property, I said, all right, I could see that. And I could see why you wouldn't like it. But for me, I was okay with them. And he kind of settles their dispute with Lortha Peel right away. And he gives them 500 credits. They owed him like 1,300. He gives them 500. He's like, be fucking grateful for that, because he found out you're overcharged for water. So fuck you anyway. And they get out of there. And now they work for him.
I love that they called him the Watermonger too, which again,
Yeah.
anyone who's watched Always Sunny, they call Charlie's, as you find out, dad, the cheesemonger, cheese monster, cheese mongrel, all these different words. Monger is such a fucking great word. We have
The
lost
Ironmonger.
the ironmonger. We've lost that word as a society. We need to bring it. That is the goal. All right. The year of the Basin Boys is 2022. The word monger is number 2 on that list. I want that to be the exact order that like
where
Google ranks
YouTube like mongers.
Yes, exactly. That's a good one, Bob. Those kids, I will say, like the old. I was on my couch by myself, and I'm like, I don't know if this is the old man in me, but these look like some goddamn punk kids right here, and I don't like them one bit. It was like a retro vibe, and I don't know how to just. The best way I could describe it was Eleven's friends from Stranger Things that she meets in Detroit or wherever, and it's like. But you're in Star Wars, which already has the retro vibe, but it felt like they almost put like an Instagram filter and everything and like slowed it down. I don't know. I have to rewatch. Maybe the music changed, but it was just very steampunkish as well. It was just a very weird vibe all around. And yeah, these kids are not beloved by Star Wars. It's, hey,
people hate them with passion, like with fury. They're like, their ships are too colorful and stuff. George would never do this. And I'm like, did you guys see the prequels? See the shit he was putting in there? This is like, I don't think it's Elon Sleaze Baggio from episode 2. It's not Dexter Jetster at a 50s diner.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm coming from a different era where it's like I do have so much hate in my heart for so many different groups of Star Wars characters in the non-original trilogy like sectors of the universe that I'm like, these kids, whatever, they kind of stink. It's one episode.
I like the lead one. The rest of them can kick rocks. The girl who winds up like getting the mayor's Majordomo in the end, she was cool. She looked like Joan Jett or something with the robot arm. I thought she was cool.
Okay, yeah, and again, and listen, hey, if you hate them, there is something off about them. Anyone that doesn't think there's something off, you're crazy. And the Streets of Mos Espa, again, a little bit of fucking Sharks versus the Jets. You're talking West Side Story, West Espa Story or something.
Maybe
like
that is also part of like I like American Graffiti. I watched it for the first time over the quarantine, and I was like, oh my god, like I can't believe it took me that long to watch it because I really enjoyed it.
Are you serious? It was your first time? What? I am shocked.
It took me till like 2020 to watch American Graffiti.
Robbie Fox is the biggest enigma here at Barstool Sports. The guy who didn't watch Game of Thrones is currently watching Harry Potter for the first time. And it's like, all right, listen, there are different sectors of the nerd culture. We know that 100%. And I mean, shit, I can't even blame your brother because apparently you haven't seen, Chris's Vacation. I as we found out in the Batman rewatch, it's not even his fault. But I just figured at some point, young Bob Fox just ate up everything George Lucas ever fucking touched or looked at. And I'm flabbergasted right now.
I know. And saying I watched it during the quarantine, it honestly feels like it could have been a month ago. But now looking back, it was like 2 years ago. That's fucked up. We're in 2022. That is.
Nothing makes sense. I said, oh man, I think I wrote a blog in like 2019 and I looked it up, Bob. It was July of this year. That's fucking ridiculous, man. There's the brain. I need to see brains before, during, and after this fucking pandemic because I'm telling you, it's like looking at a lung before and after you smoke. Man.
Exactly. I don't want to see mine. All right, so we go to the flashback tank. It's nighttime. Boba takes a little dip in the flashback tank. He's back on Camino in this flashback. It's the flashback that we've seen before of him watching the Slave One leave. And this was my prediction on the Lights Camera Barstool Twitter Spaces. I think this is going to lead to a Jango Fett flashback where we get to see Tamora Morrison reprise that role. Maybe they de-age him a little bit. They put that hair on that he had back then. He had a nice head of hair back then. So, I mean, I
True.
think what are these leading to? Is the Camino references? He mentions again, I used to, I was born in water or whatever. And they mention again, Tatooine used to be filled with oceans. I think that could lead to that. But in the actual flashback sequence, we see Boba leaving the Tusken camp to go off to town. He sees the stormtroopers' heads getting added to the spikes, and in the background, we get to see Amy Sedaris' character from The Mandalorian, Peli Moto, just walking with her pit droids. It's such a subtle Easter egg that if you didn't watch The Mandalorian, you're not even going to know was an Easter egg, and that's kind of how I like it. It doesn't hit you on the like a pit droid hit you on the nose with him. Kind of nice there. And Boba meets with the Pike leader. He says, I'm here to collect the protection fee that we talked about last week. They said, nope, we are already giving protection fees to the Kintan Striders. These are the bike people that put the little JL. Reminds me of the Justice League logo every time. But they're called the Kintan Striders. They're already collecting. Boba's like, all right, let me get this figured out. I will resolve this. You won't hear from them anymore. He goes back to his camp. Everyone's dead. Tuskens wiped out, fires started everywhere. They even spray painted the JL to let them know, like, hey, we were the motherfuckers that did this. The Tusken kid is dead. He does a little funeral for him. He puts the Tusken kid's stick on there. Very sad scene because we got to know and love these Tuskens over the last 2 episodes. We were like, all right, these guys are pretty cool. They got lizard drugs and whatnot. But Tamora Morrison, what a performance. It made up for how sad the scene was. Not only his performance, but the score as well. Watching this 2 or 3 times now, Ludwig Göransson killed the score. It reminded me of something that John Williams would have put in like episode 1, but in a good way, because John Williams' episode 1 score is fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it. They had lizard drugs. They were pretty good people.
Yeah.
By the way, I missed that Mando Easter egg 1,000%. I don't even know what I must have just been staring at the screen and it just completely went over my head.
It's quick. You just see her walking in the background and it's like, oh shit, we know her.
I see. I like that. Again, we've talked about with all these Star Wars, especially with all the shows that they're going to be making, the world universe building, I guess is even a better way to put it. I dig that. They also had, I think, the little frog creature from Return of the Jedi, right?
Yeah,
he
had the
burps
little.
again.
It's like the ribbit. Yeah, it grabbed the creature out of the sky or whatever.
Can we just say that's the same one as Return of the Jedi, and it's
I
not
hope
just
so.
another one that burps?
Yeah.
And I don't like Wikipedia will probably be like, the species as soon as they eat, they always burp. It's like, no, you guys don't have to go that crazy. Just say it's the same dude because I like that guy. He made me smile seeing him again. You know what also made me smile? The flashback to Tank. At this point, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, we're just gonna see this fucking thing over and over. I'm laughing out loud every single time I see the flashback. And if I see this fucking go back to Camino and I just see the ship flying away, I'm like, Boba. I mean, we all have the same dreams over and over again, but Boba,
this was haunting him.
I guess maybe that's what it is. Maybe I don't think of it that much, but it is a haunting dream. Okay, so that makes sense. That is always the worst part about dreams is if you ever have like a good dream or you have maybe a wet dream or something. Like Bob Fox fucking got hired because of a wet dream.
Yep.
Confirmed on the rundown.
Can confirm.
Like, you're always just like, why can't I just have that dream over and over? And poor Boba just, actually, you know what? I don't want to see Boba have a wet dream. I take it back. I'm taking it back right now before it goes any further down that thing.
And now we realize, like, the flashbacks, maybe the dreams, like, it's also haunting him that he got ingratiated in this culture, in this entire family of Tuskens, and then they were all killed. Like, we didn't even realize this was a haunting memory.
Yes, exactly. Yep, that's a great point. So this, and when he goes into the city, and I love seeing all the stormtrooper helmets like on spikes and all that shit. That always plays. It's a little Game of Thronesy feel to it as well. And when we go back and we see those Tusken Raiders all dead, I was like, wow. If you had told me before the series started, or even actually, I guess a little bit in Mando, because you kind of get to know them in Mando. But if you told me before this series started that I feel really bad, even back at the end of episode 1, that I feel bad that I saw a bunch of Tusken Raiders get slaughtered, I wouldn't have believed you. I couldn't believe it. I actually felt bad for the Tusken Raiders. That motherfucker Carabas, because it looks like a JL. It also looks like Red Sox logo, kind of like reverse of them.
Yeah.
So I did not like that at all, and I'm blaming Carabas for all this fucking senseless attack.
Yeah, it's Carabas' fault. I also love seeing the Pikes without the helmet on, just the fish people faces. It makes me laugh every time. And they do the same thing that Mando does with the alien faces, where like the mouth is not lined up all the way with how they're talking, but it gives it that old school like Star Wars feel, which I love.
And for the people that are like me, a little more casual in terms of Star Wars fandom, the Pikes are like a big deal because I had no
Yeah.
idea. Again, we had the spaces with Ken Jack the other day, and he was saying like the Pikes are in the Clone Wars cartoon, right?
Yeah,
They're pretty
they're
big
one of the
there.
major crime syndicates in the Clone Wars for sure.
Because when they were talking about Pikes, I was like, oh, I forgot those were the fish people, is what I was calling them before. It's like, no, Pikes, big deal, gonna be a big part of this. But I think, and again, everyone's gonna harp on the kids and like the slowest fucking chase in the history of
Yeah.
cinema. But like this Tusken Raider scene like hammered home. I don't know what's the fuck's going to happen this
Yeah.
episode, this series, because I thought that was going to be a slow build and Boba would finally leave the flashback to take after we had caught up with the Tusken Raiders. Guess what? Tusken Raiders storyline, at least in terms of with the Raiders, donezo because everyone
Yeah.
is dead. I actually felt bad about the kid getting cooked alive too, and trust me, I wanted that kid dead. I think like last episode, I was like, put his head on a fucking spike. So things change in this in the Book of Boba Fett, which I like. I like that they're keeping us on our toes.
Absolutely. They're changing quickly. And speaking
Mm-hmm.
of keeping us on our toes, Black Krrsantan fucking rips Boba out of the flashback tank in the middle of his flashback. It was crazy. He just rips him out of this thing. Huge fight sequence. It's in the dark. It's very hard to see what's going on. I mean, the worst way to attack someone is if they're naked. Boba had boxers on, probably from Tommy John or one of our other sponsors, but it was like he was naked basically. He got pulled out of this thing and gets fucked up. He squeezes him like a Bruno San Martino bear hug, squeezes the life out of him. His toes are fucking curling and shit. The street gang runs in, kind of proves their worth at this moment. The Joan Jett girl stabs him. A couple of them they grab him, one of his hands with like an electric lasso kind of. He breaks out of all of that. He fucks him up. The Gamorrean guards, we love them, the Bash brothers. They come in like the fucking bushwhackers at this point. They just show up and they get double clotheslined down a flight of stairs by Black Krrsantan. It was a sick move, sick fight where I thought Black Krrsantan, I want to see him in the WWE tomorrow. You gave him to Vince McMahon in his prime, he would build a star out of this guy.
Well, I hate to say it though. I love my guy Killer K and all, and that's the thing is, I had this guy built up. They're like, oh, this guy's badass. You said he fought all these other Star Wars stars to like a draw or even beat them, and I'm like, oh, this guy's gonna fuck shit up, dude. I was told Wookiees rip people's arms off because they lose a fucking board game. This guy was like, he was hugging. Listen, the bear hug is a very effective wrestling move. I use it all the time. That's not true, but I've used it in the past. I guess I use it on my kids.
You have a Nacho Libre esque like night shift. Are you moonlighting as a pro wrestler?
I'm the revolting blob from Billy Madison over here.
Yeah.
I use it on my like 7 and 3-year-olds just to like get them to stop like fucking like running around. No, that's not true. But I don't know. I was maybe Boba was having a wet dream and he felt the boner on him and he was like, I don't want to fucking touch this guy. And
he's like, oh, I don't want any part of this.
Like, what kind of a bounty hunter if you're sent to kill a guy doesn't kill a guy? Come on, he's in a fucking flashback.
He was sleeping, yeah. He wanted to rip him out. Why didn't you just shoot him while he was in the tank or something? Yeah.
I have a real problem.
I wanted to see some arms get ripped off as well. I thought the exact same thing. I was like, is he going to get his arms ripped? Maybe that's just a Chewie thing. Chewie's a big fan of the ripping arms off. Black Krrsantan, not that way. He did bite one of the Gamorrean guards, and Boba, thankfully, after they get him, they trap him in the Rancor pit. Boba tells one of the Gamorrean guards, hey, get up to my bacta tank. Treat yourself.
Boba willingly sharing his flashback to tank with the Gamorrean guards was like real salt of the earth. Like that's a great boss right there. Yeah. That is king shit right there. They an episode ago, they're like, yeah, you want us to hose these fat pigs down? Boba is sharing fucking like liquid that he has like running all over his face. A+ boss move right there. And it's not like the Gamorrean guard saved his life. They got washed just like Big K got washed. Everyone, he showed up for his guys. I really appreciated that out of him. Listen, we're Gamorrean guards fans. We like these guys. We like the Bash brothers. We like them for their loyalty. They're not going to be putting up numbers on the back of the baseball cards like Canseco and McGuire, but they fucking care. They're there. They showed up. I don't know how he made it through like the security. If there was a Simply Safe ad, I'd read it here right now. But like Boba needs new security in Jabba's palace.
Kind of on Fennec. I love Fennec. She's great.
Yeah.
Truly like a character where I realized this episode, like such a natural addition to the show, especially when you bring in characters like the Street Gang, where maybe it's not the most natural addition to the show. Fennec fits in like that and is never overstaying her welcome. But Fennec, you got to be on top of that.
And that, someone did ask if Fennec's on the sus list. And I mean, at some point, like that was a really bad oversight. And I will say this, if he moved into Jabba's house, Jabba has to have a security system in his house, right? His castle, excuse me,
Well,
palace.
I don't know because Leia got in real quickly, and I mean, she did the
But that was on
disguise.
purpose, though. No, like they knew she was coming.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was a trap. Fuck.
Yeah, it was a trap. So that's why I'm like, it was probably one of those things where he didn't really like, he doesn't know how to like how to arm it. So he's like, I'll look it up one of these days, and you just forget. Like you're just living, you're running a crime underworld criminal ring.
It's a new house. Maybe he's not figured out the security system yet.
Do you remember that when like Trump went in the White House, they had said that like no one knew how to turn the lights on, so they would just like sit there and stuff like that, like all like his staff and everything. So I figure it's the same thing. Like you're just moving into someone's house, and they were like, "Oh, forgot to tell you how to turn the alarm system on." Boba needs an alarm system because the fucking like the trained killers he has.
I know after the Tusken ambush, like you would imagine, this guy is kind of like on edge.
Thank God he just had a Wookiee that didn't want to kill him, but he wanted to like fucking have horseplay with him. He
Dust
wanted
him
to
up. Yeah, he was a Billy Football Wookiee or something.
Dust him up. Great line.
I loved when Fennec took the knife out of her gun to throw it at him at the end too. She takes it out later in the episode to use as like a lockpick almost, but I just thought that was a cool little thing. Boba and Fennec are eating dinner or lunch, I assume, the next day. One of the droids comes up, like an astromech droid with what looks like an awesome another course, and Boba's like, "Nah, I'm good. We're good." At that moment, I was like, Boba, he fucking cooked you that awesome course. You put that on the table. You take one bite. You say it's delicious. At least do that for him. 88 says, "Pardon the interruption," comes and interrupts him. He says, "The twins are here with a gift." And the gift winds up being a new Rancor. We talked about maybe they'll introduce Moochie from the Bad Batch. I don't think this is Moochie. I'm pretty sure this is a male Rancor. And because of the whole impressioning thing that we learned later on, I don't think it can be her. But this is an apology for sending Black Krrsantan to kill him. These twin Hutts are kind of like Jabba and the other bounty hunters, where it's like, sorry, we sent him to kill you. And they're like, it's just business. Yeah, I know it. And the Hutts tell Boba, listen, the mayor has promised this territory to another syndicate. So we don't want war. We're getting out of here. We're going back to Hutta. We just wanted to let you know, bring this Rancor as an apology for sending our Wookiee to kill you. So Boba's like, all right. He releases Black Krrsantan. The Hutts don't even want him. He runs away, which I thought was funny. The way he ran, like through the desert. It's like, where are you? You're in the middle of the desert. Why are you running? Fucking chill out. Walk away. And Boba learns in this moment that the Rancor is depressed from its handler, played by Danny Trejo. An amazing addition to the Star Wars universe. Another one where you're like, fuck yeah, Danny Trejo. It's a Robert Rodriguez project, so we could expect nothing less. And he learns this is just a calf. It's depressed because it has yet to impression, and he takes a liking to it. Boba's like, this thing's kind of awesome. He's petting it. He's like asking questions about it. He finds out they're not just fighters. They can they can have very loving relationships with their owners. And Trejo tells him the witches of Dathomir even used to ride these things. Boba's like, a fucking kid. He's like, okay, then I want to ride it. I want to ride it next. Can I ride it? And Trejo is like, that would take a lot of discipline, a lot of skill. He's like, I have ridden beasts 10 times this size. And I was losing it in my living room because that has to be a reference to the Star Wars holiday special. Him coming in on the dinosaur, all of that, it has to be. So Trejo removes his blinders. He lets Boba see him. He lets the Rancor see Boba Fett, really. And he's impressioned. Even when Boba leaves to go, because 88 again interrupts, and he's like, hey, the mayor has no appointments for the next 20 days. Boba's like, fuck that. Tell Fennec we're putting on our stuff. We're going. He's like, hey, it's okay. He'll be back. The Rancor kind of gets sad that Boba left him already. An adorable relationship that I'm looking forward to seeing flourish.
I was stoked. I was hoping. I don't know if it was announced that we're getting Danny Trejo, but we're getting. Danny
I think it
Trejo.
was rumored. I think it was.
Okay, so
I vaguely remember that from months ago.
And as soon as I saw him, I'm like, yes, that's perfect. Like, I feel like that's the perfect role for Danny Trejo, like Rancor trainer.
Agreed.
Right? And I'm like, because if you're like any celebrity in Hollywood and you can get a spot in Star Wars, it's like you get that spot, you can't get another role. So and it's like that is a fun ass role to have. So I'm happy for him. I was so thrilled that we got a fresh Rancor, and I love the complex side of things, and we're talking witches and shit like that.
Yeah.
Let's get fucking weird with this Rancor backstory. Let's kind of build up the character of it all, because obviously the one we met in Jedi, it was a quick meet and greet and goodbye. It was grand opening, grand closing, and going to that mayor's fucking office. that fuckface. I hate that mayor assistant
Oh,
fuckface.
the
So
Majordomo. Oh my god, I hate it.
much.
So I watch this at 3 a.m, and then every day, the next day, the actual day comes out, I watch it with my girlfriend, and I just couldn't help myself. As soon as he came on the screen, I said, I fucking hate that guy right in front of my girlfriend, and I fell in love with her all over again when she said, "Me too, fuck that guy." I was like, yes, we're on the
Yeah,
same fucking side
Lady
on that
Fox,
one.
let's go. And obviously I did the fucking what is it, the Rudy gif where the guy who played Rocky just claps, and that was me when he says I rode beast 10 times his size. My guy Robbie, I knew, because you said, did you watch it? I said I haven't watched it yet, and then once I was done, I was like, yeah, I watched it. And you're like, oh, I'm gonna do a thing about an Easter egg, and I was like, Star Wars special.
You
He's
knew
riding a
right
dinosaur.
away.
I
Right
was
away,
so
you
happy
knew.
for you, Bob.
That was the moment where I fell in love with you all over again. I was like, he knew me so well.
Right, Bobby's falling back in love, baby.
yeah.
It was that. See, and that's the thing about this episode. Don't just think of the kids that pissed you off and the scene that we're going to get to that pissed everyone off. Think about some fucking
Oh yeah,
cool
there's a
shit
lot
we
of
learned
good.
along the way. Yeah,
Even if you
definitely
hated the final chase scene, even if you hated the street gang, there's a lot of good that didn't even involve them. So,
for sure.
going into that, they go into the mayor's office. Bailey Carlin's still working there, and they're like, "We need an appointment right now." Mayor's major domo was like, "Can't happen." They're like, "We're gonna fucking kill you if you don't give an appointment." So he's like, "All right, I'll rearrange some things. I'll see." He goes in the mayor's office, and we see like the green button turns to red on the door. They're like, did he fucking just lock that door? So Fennec takes the little knife out of her gun again. She breaks in, and he did. He absolutely locked the door. He made a run for it. They run to the front where the street gang is. They showed up with the street gang. They're just chilling out there, and we see that this guy takes off. Even the way he takes off in his car is just like, oh fuck that guy.
Weasel.
Like the face, yeah, exactly. That's the perfect word. He's a weasel. And we go on a chase sequence, a big chase sequence through the streets of Mos Espa, and it is the slowest chase sequence that we've ever gotten in Star Wars. It's getting criticized, and I think maybe rightfully so in
Fairly.
certain ways, because when I make my notes for the episode, I kind of go through the episode on Disney Plus, and I have a little program, a Google Chrome extension that allows me to speed it up. So I watch it on like ×3 speed, and it just allows me to remember the scenes. I'm not really watching it. I'm just, okay, this is what happens in the scene. And even on ×3 speed, it looked slow.
Oh my god.
And I was like, all right, you can't look slow on ×3 speed. So I don't know what the issue was. It can't be a budget issue, right? This show has an insane, absurd budget. Was it a set issue where they were like, they built the sets too small and couldn't get things through? I don't know. Did it ruin the episode for me? No, it was a fine chase sequence, choreography and dynamics wise. We get to see some pit droids, some protocol droids. I could have been that fucking protocol droid that's got spun around. We saw the jizz whaling aliens. They get spun around as well. Ralph McQuarrie concept art from Return of the Jedi. That was a very cool Easter egg that they go crashing through. But Joan Jett Girl eventually stops him. She does a cool move where she jumps on the top, hits the back of his car, and the guy says, the mayor's gone. He's working with the Pykes. Big dramatic ending to this episode. Obviously, Boba pulled up on a jetpack in that moment. Very badass when he just fucking flies down. And we see ships of Pikes arrive. They're here. The one-eye guy says they're coming. And Fennec tells Boba they're preparing for war. And Boba's like, then let's prepare for war ourselves. And that is the end of this episode. Another one where I kind of thought we were going to get something huge at the end of the episode. And we didn't really. It was just like, we're going to war. But like I said, the chase sequence, rightfully criticized for being too slow, didn't ruin the episode for me, though.
It also had that it was that same retro feel I had with it too, in terms of when we met the little punk gang. I kind of felt the same thing with that during the chase. It almost felt like everyone got on, like they didn't realize it. They thought they were going in speeders and stuff. Like they got on a ride in like Star Wars Land where Portnoy has never been, and it was like that speed of a fucking like Disney ride going around, and even like, the jazz band getting like flipped around, like that's something you see on a ride, like whoa, like it was the Jungle Cruise basically.
Yeah,
that it was very fucking weird.
It was like the lazy river of Star Wars chases. I said it's just something that you're there to enjoy slowly.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, the perfect way to. And listen, I'm not a chase guy, so like they all look like that to me. They don't really do anything for me, no matter what. So I'm fine with it. Again, it looks. So as of this week, I'm like, all right, the Pikes are the bad guy. Here comes the invasion. They're the bad guys. Here comes the invasion. This is how we're gonna go. I like the twist. I also am like, wait a minute, you idiot. They're doing this to you. So then by the end of next episode, you have no fucking clue what's going to happen. You're going to be completely wrong. So I feel like we're getting set up again here.
I
The
agree.
Huts, everything with the Huts felt weird. Like, and that's the only way my guy, Big K, if they're like, hey, Big K, dust him up a little bit, don't kill him, get thrown into the Rancor or whatever, like you'll get loose. We're going to give him a Rancor. Everyone's throwing Trejo on the sus list right now. I could see that being like, that's the real big baddie is the Huts and something else, and the Pykes are kind of just a distraction.
I'm thinking who's running the Pykes too. Who is their overall leader? I don't think it's who we met on Tatooine because they got ships of Pykes arriving, right? We've seen them on Kessel. They're not just desolate to Tatooine or whatever. They're not only on Tatooine. So I think they have an overall leader who could possibly be someone that we've met in the past. I don't know.
Okay, yep, I see that. And
maybe even the Huts are going to work with Boba. Maybe they're going to wind up being on his side at the end of this. I don't know.
This is my latest take that I thought about too, and I guarantee somewhere is. Do you think the Star Wars HQ is that in? You think it's in? That's probably in California, not in Florida, right? I'd say it's probably in California. There was probably like a Disney meeting between all the big, the big names, the head honchos of each product. They have a whiteboard now in that Star Wars complex, and they're starting to connect shit. And the Book of Boba Fett's going to be the first one where the whiteboard's out. The markers are all pretty new, and we're going to start connecting some shit here. And I think by the time it's all said and done, it'll look a lot clearer. But I think there's a lot of stuff on this board, and they're just adding stuff every fucking episode. That's what
they fucked up on the sequel trilogy, didn't they? They had no whiteboard. And then when they started The Mandalorian, and, with every Star Wars fan out there in terms of what they liked, what they didn't like, felt like, maybe this is a course recorrection. Maybe this is what we need in the future. It's the Disney Plus series. It's this era of Star Wars. It's the Jon Favreau's, the Dave Filoni's coming forward. Maybe Jon Favreau just fucking wheeled in a whiteboard. He was like, this is it.
Guys, wait,
just map it out first.
Favreau came in and was like, guys, where's the whiteboard? He's like, I was just fucking talking to the Russo brothers with Feige, talking about the whiteboard. You guys got to see what we're working on with the Avengers, the next two movies.
He's like, the Avengers 7 is mapped out. We're done.
They're like, what the fuck is a whiteboard? And it's like, yeah, that's the problem, boys. So I feel like this whiteboard is getting a lot of shit on it, and a lot of stuff we're getting on it isn't going to probably be the end-all, be-all of the Book of Boba Fett, but we're opening up a lot of stuff. We're throwing a lot of shit out. We're putting a lot of new characters in there, and it's all going to make sense, in 5 years from now, hopefully, if they don't fuck it up.
Yeah. All right. We got some questions. We got some fan questions. They're back this week. The first of which is from Frank C. And he says, what would be your most oh shit moment? Mine would be Rex, still played by Tamora. This is Captain Rex from the Clone Wars and stuff. Or Hondo showing up. Neither really makes sense, but I can still hope. Hondo, if you're not aware, we also got a question from Chris Minnie. He said, with all of these character reveals, especially with the drug syndicates, is there a possibility that we see a live action Hondo? Hondo is a pirate from the animated series. He is like a space pirate. He's a fan favorite character. I think he's a big part of Galaxy's Edge in Disney. And I think there is a chance we see Hondo. I definitely wouldn't rule him out in terms of we've got so many aliens and so many syndicates and factions, like you said. In terms of my biggest oh shit moment, the moment that I'm hoping for the most is still Cad Bane. A live action Cad Bane would be very cool, I think. The most oh shit moment, the moment that would make me go oh shit the most, would be Han Solo in some way, which is still rumored. Jeff thinks it's going to happen. Like, that would be the thing that takes me by surprise the most.
Yeah, so for someone like me that doesn't know as much of the like expanded universe and all that stuff from like the cartoons and whatnot, it's just because we're in the timeline of it, and it would be tough to do. I mean, if they do it with Harrison Ford, God bless you, it's hard to do with a lot of the human people that are still alive in terms of the actors, but just someone from the original trilogy that's tier 2 or higher, right? And Han Solo definitely fits into that thing. So even if it was one of the droids, a Wookiee, whatever it may be, anyone from the original trilogy, because the timelines match up, and that is oh shit. You got to be basically original trilogy. All right, I got my oh shit moment.
What's your oh shit moment?
In comes Jar Jar Binks. And he's fucking wielding the dark side. Darth Jar Jar. That's my oh shit moment. I need that to happen. It's just like that was I made my own brain explode.
How old would Jar Jar be by this time? I mean, like, would he be alive? Or no, there was the book where they made him out to be like he's a street clown, and like kids were like throwing stuff at him. I don't know.
Bob, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard Darth Plagueis the Wise. Don't you
And then
fucking
you could cheat death. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You can cheat death. You can fucking
Fair
age.
enough.
Fucking the Emperor is. God damn it! If the fucking Emperor is the one running all this shit, like that's probably what's gonna happen. Maybe we get some sort of a. I feel like there will be a point. Speaking of the whiteboards, where we are gonna start kind of retconning or fixing up the sequel trilogy. We
Yeah.
might get like a Snoke or something like
I
that.
think it's coming soon based on the ending of the Bad Batch, them talking about cloning and stuff,
Yeah.
us seeing the stuff we saw in the Mandalorian with the cloning facility. I think they're definitely doing that. I think that's like Filoni's MO at Lucasfilm. He's like, I'm just gonna make everything better.
That's his like job description. It's like, make good stuff, hit these numbers, do this, sell this many toys, and
Filoni's
fix the
walking
sequel
past and he's
trilogies
like,
for idiots like Clem.
making sure things are straight on the walls, putting tape on things. He's gluing things together at HQ. He's Filoni the builder. We got one from Nordic Poppy. He says, after Tamora Morrison said we've got some quote unquote colorful chaps in this show, I can't help but think that would mean Cad Bane or even Thrawn to appear because they've got the blue skin and whatnot. Is that who the Hutts are afraid to go to war with? I don't think the Pykes themselves are enough to scare off the Hutts. I agree that the Pykes aren't enough to just scare off the Hutts like that. And as far as colorful chaps, I think one might have been Black Krrsantan. I know black isn't technically color, but maybe that was a little hint. And the other one that we haven't mentioned this episode, but I think is still a very high possibility is Crimson Dawn. Crimson, colorful chaps, something like that. So I think Kira could still show up, and I think that could be the colorful chaps he's talking about. Now, maybe he was talking about Cad Bane. I hope he was. I hope he was saying it in that way. But those are just other possibilities I thought of.
This is all like an offshoot of the Mephisto things where he says colorful, and we're all looking at like, is there anyone named Magenta in the Star Wars universe? By the way, Crimson Dawn always makes me think of Asian Dawn from Die Hard, and it just makes me, and I'm always I have to do like a minute, like, wait, we're not talking about Die Hard right now. Colorful chaps, I'll just go with like any sort of like bounty hunters that were in
Bosk. Bosk is
like
very
colorful. Bosk is, I think, the one that we're all kind of hoping for or expecting. So I'll throw them in. And again, I feel like probably most of the people that would be the correct answer potentially are people that are much more on the Bob Fox level of Star Wars knowledge than mine.
Speaking of Black Krrsantan, this is a great one. That's something that I thought of right away. This one from Jake Patterson. He says, is it just me, or do you guys think Black Krrsantan might owe Boba Fett a life debt? Now, when Boba Fett released him, Wookiees, we know, have this life debt code. Chewbacca owes a life debt to Han Solo. And while they're, it's not really like a slave relationship, slaver relationship, they're best pals, but it's a life debt still. He's like, hey, you freed me from slavery, so I now owe you a life debt. Did Boba Fett not do the same thing? Or because Boba Fett initially enslaved them, maybe he doesn't? I don't know. Maybe they're just fellow bounty hunters and they're like, it's another fucking day on the job. But I certainly thought like, oh, maybe by the end of this series even, Boba could give Black Krrsantan a call and be like, hey, remember when I hooked you up? Maybe you could be on our team for this battle.
He's either coming back with intentions to kill or he's coming back with intentions to save. And we're going to be like, again, we're always building teams, right? We're always building, that was like the whole thing about Mando. And then by the finale, you have the whole squad together. And, you throw a Wookiee with a couple Gamorreans, Fennec. I mean, that's a squad right there,
Bob. The squad. Fox. And they worked together in the comics before. There's like pictures of them standing side by side and stuff. So like they have worked together in the past.
Nope. And Boba cannot take that helmet off. I'm telling you, he does not get the risk. You can walk on your own two feet, Boba. I have no problem with that. But you got to keep the fucking helmet on because that helmet just fucking rings out. It rings out.
And how about this? We got a hot take from my Uncle Den, Uncle Fun, but I actually agree with it. He hit me up. He said, I think Boba Fett in the black robes is even cooler than the original white jumpsuit. And I agree. Like, it's hard to make Boba Fett cooler after all these years. He was always the coolest looking character. But the black robes they add something to the character. It's fucking cool.
That's the only time he should have his helmet off is when he's rocking the black robes. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. All right. Nathan Hurst with our final question of the episode, our guy Nathan Hurst from the multi-Hurst. He says, we got our Rancor, but what creature/alien do you want on the live action screen next? I am still waiting on Mando to come over a snowy hilltop with a battle-worn Tauntaun. And I'm on the same page as Nathan Hurst here. The one that I want to see the most is a Wampa. I want to see like a fucking scary Wampa messing up rebels in an icy cave or something. Like the one we saw was like a very quick, like it's just the arm or whatever. If we saw a live action Wampa nowadays, I think it would be badass. So that I'm on the same page as you. Hoth, Empire Strikes Back fans, I assume, but that would be the big one.
Like a sand wampa almost. So it's like Bigfoot's the cousin of the abominable
Not even
snowman.
that. I want him to go to a snowy planet. I want to
Oh,
see like a
okay.
Hoth Wampa, like a snow Wampa.
Fuck,
And I don't know if we're leaving Tatooine in this show, but he said like Mando included. So even if it's Mando fighting a Wampa, it'd be a cool episode.
I kind of want to see a sand wampa now, and I'm gonna
Yeah, that'd be fucking
I'm
cool.
gonna
Yeah,
kind of remix your answer on that. Like, I would think it would be funny if at some point we do run into Ewoks again, just because
agreed.
they are so linked to the Return of the Jedi and whatever. But yeah, I guess that's the. I kind of love seeing new creatures in Star Wars, like the Goro guy we got a few episodes ago. But I want to see these guys fuck shit up. I want to see this thing. The creature that they fought that the Oliphant fought, that was one of my favorite.
Oh, the
episodes.
Krayt Dragon.
Yeah, I love that Krayt Dragon. And then obviously we had all the skulls that he comes back to it in the original movies and stuff like that. I like seeing just like these massive monstrous creatures. So something like that would be cool. But Sand Wampa, because just like in when people turned on this episode, they didn't think they get a Monsters Inc. call back here.
Oh,
you have the abominable snowman. You find out he's related to Sasquatch. That's the kind of fucking thing. That's the kind of like lineage I want between the Wampas and these sand Wampas that live in the Tatooine caves.
I like that a lot. And speaking of Oliphant, he could be another one that Boba goes to, and he's like, "Hey, you wore my armor for years. Like, can you help me out?" If he goes to that town, he knows where he lives. He was tracking Cobb Vanth. He was tracking his armor. So I would love to see Oliphant return.
Oliphant's like, I think I said it a couple episodes ago. Like that's on my list. Like that's if I like most realistic person I want to see, I want Oliphant. I want Oliphant like involved in this shit because I really like his character and I just like him as an actor.
One of my favorite episodes of Star Wars TV as well. That first episode of Mandalorian season 2 with them, one of the best they ever made. All right, this was a great episode. Chapter 3 of the Book of Boba Fett is all wrapped up. Hopefully, we'll get to see him ride that Rancor by the end of this show. I think that's what do they call it? Chekhov's Rancor.
Chekhov, yeah, that's definitely Chekhov's Rancor, and I guarantee him riding that Rancor will be faster than that entire chasing. No
I hope so. I hope so. Everyone, make sure you like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to enter the contest, send a screenshot of your subscription to theclemreport@gmail.com. I'll put the little email on the screen so you could read it now. And we will see you next week. Pay attention to the channel for more shorts, some Peacemaker recaps, some interviews. I've got some cool interviews coming up. So pay attention to the My Mom's Basement channel. We're going to the penthouse in 2022.
The closer we get to 25,000, the closer we are to have to figuring out how we're going to steal Dave's fucking R2D2. Because I'm telling you, that made its way to Miami, that hat. He didn't just like leave it in New York. We're going to have to find a way to get that hat because he loves the fucking wars. So we're going to have to do it. So make us have to do that reckless decision of getting Dave's fucking R2D2 hat.